Hello everyone, welcome back to the third part of my project series in which I am going over my files of like how I created my library book management system. So this is the third part, and in this part I will go over my Student.py and Library.py file depending upon the time. If it's taking too much time, then I will just go over the one. If it's under 20 minutes, then I will try to do both of them. But yeah, so let's start this video. In this Student.py, my most of the methods are related to the students, like creating a student object to see how many students have issued the books and if student wants to issue the book or not. So these are the only three methods that I have here for now. So to access the methods of this Student.py, first it has to have the connection from the database, and then I am importing my other file, that is library. From there I am importing my library class, and then I have pandas and datetime module here. And then again in my class student I have my constructor. In constructor it needs only one argument, that is connection argument. What is the connection argument? Connection argument is the one that we are going to create from here. So you can say for this constructor, connection argument is this is the connection argument, C. So here you can see S is equal to student, connection is C. So this is the argument here. And then the next method is, or you can say the first method is student creation. So after calling this method, I can create the student in my student table. What are the arguments? Roll number, first name, last name, standard and standard year. I have already gone through them, the annotations and everything. And then I am just calling my insert value in table method that I already have in my database. Here this is the method that I am calling, insert value in table. What it needs? Table name and keyword arguments, and that's what I am passing here. Table name is this, and these are the keyword arguments. So that's method I am calling. After calling this method, I can create a student. So let me show you the example. S is equal to S dot student creation. Roll number is what? 50. First name is Johnny. Last name is Bravo. Standard is, you can say, 8th. And which year? 2014. Here it's a string, my bad, I have passed this as a string. So yeah, so before creating it, let me go here and call my student table. Once I call it, we can see that there is no student here with roll number 50, and there is no Johnny Bravo. So let me run it. By the way, I have already called this earlier. Now it's showing me that values are inserted in student. Let me go here, refresh this, and here I have a student, roll number with 50, Johnny Bravo, who is in 8th standard in 2014, and student IDs are auto increment. They are generated on its own by Snowflake. Okay, so after this method I have get all student issued books method. What is this method doing? This method is returning all the students who have books with them right now. So first there is a query like that's fetching all the students, and then I am saving all those students in an argument result, and to get the column name for those results, I am running this list comprehension, and I have already explained this in my previous videos. And then I am creating data frame using pd.dataframe function, and then after that I am getting the today's date, the date when I am going to run it, and it's getting from datetime.today.date, and then I am running a loop over my data frame that I already have it here, that I got. And in that loop I am using df.iterRows. What iterRows does is like, it's a function in pandas that let us iterate over the rows of the data frame as an index and series pair. So for this particular index, it will return me these are the series, and what I am doing is from that particular series I am getting the date and I am storing it in the return date. So that means which I am running it on the student issued books. So here is the student issued books. This is the return date that I am saving in this return date variable, and then I am checking if today's date is greater than return date. So suppose I am running it today and it is greater than return date, then I will get the difference, like how late they have returned the book, and on those number of days I will apply $10 penalty. I explained this in my first video, like I am considering if they have not returned books on time, then I am penalizing them with $10 per day, and then I am updating the student issued books table with this late amount fees. So here that's what I am doing, updating student issued books, set late fees amount is equal to late fees that I am getting here, where student ID is what row student ID and book ID is row book ID that I am getting from here, and then I am just executing the query. And after that, from here and else, so this is that was if statement, and then in the else, if it was not greater than 0, then I will just put the late fees as 0, and df.add gives you the, you can call it like, it is used for accessing the single value for row column label pairs. So for the particular row, the index that I'm after the running the loop, for that index whatever the late fees amount is there, I will just put it 0 there if today's date is not greater than return date, and then I am updating my table, and then I am just executing the query. Okay, and then after doing it, I am returning the df. Df is what? The data frame to get all the students who have the issued books. So let me run it. Get all student issued books, s is equal to s dot get. Here it's just the self, so I don't have to pass it, it doesn't need any arguments. After running it, I will get the records in the data frame format, and if I want to run any analysis, I can do it with the pandas, issuance date, student ID, book ID, all those things, and it has only 3 records. Here it has only 3 records. Here is the late fees amount for some student, it's 90 days, today is 17 for 9 days, 8, 8, 16, yep, 90, yeah. So that's what this function is doing. And this function, student issued book, this function is just returning those student for this student ID. It will returning me the details for the student for this particular student ID that I am going to pass here. Is just, you can say, simpler version of this one. I have it here because I am going to use it here in this and the next method. So next method is the book extension method. So in this method, if student have book and they like it, they can extend it. For this I have 2 parameters arguments. First is student ID and then days, for how many days they want to increment it. By default this is, I have it 7. I don't have any, you can say, restriction here. You can have it like, you can put any value here, but by default I have given it 7. So what I am doing it here, I am getting the books like from here after calling this method. So I am calling that method for that particular student that is here, and I am saving it in this, and I am checking if there is a record. If it's true, then get the today's date and get the returns date. What is return date? Return date is issued books from this 0 because it's only for one student. Index is going to be 0. For that, just get the return date. That's going to be the return date here. If it's true, then in that I am checking if today's date is less than return date. So when students wants to update it, or you can say extend it, that date has to be less than return date. If it's not less than return date, it will not let you extend it because you already passed the deadline and now you are incurring the penalty. So suppose your return date is tomorrow and you come today to extend the time, you can do it. But if you coming tomorrow, then you can do it. You cannot do it because I have just like less than. So it has to be less than return date. If it's less than return date, then I am just getting a new return date. What is new return date? New return date is today's date plus days. What are the days? Days are here, 7 days. And then I am just formatting it so that it can be updated in my table in this format. And now there is a query to update the records, like updated student issued books, set return date, this, where student ID is this, something like that. And then I am executing it and I am commenting it. That's what it's happening here. So these are the 3 methods. So let me show you how these records are working. Get all student issued dates. For that, let me do something here. First, here there are only 3 records, right? So let me check the student and let me pick up 102 here. Oh, I have student 101. Okay. Okay, let me go over this one also, library. And after that I can show you what I was trying to do. In this method, in this file, I am importing the connection and the date time. And here again, in the constructor, I have the connection as an argument. And then what's happening here, the first method is get book ID for book selection. And in here, I have the book name as an argument. So by calling this method, I can check if I have the book available in my system or not. And if book is available, then after that we can proceed and get the book ID and then we can issue it to the student. If it's not there, we cannot issue it to the student. So that's why I have it here. So let me call it here again also, like L dot get book ID for book selection. Suppose student wants to know if we have the Hobbit book or not. So I will just pass Hobbit and I will run it and see, yeah, we have the Hobbit book, and for this book the book ID is this one. Okay, so we have the Hobbit book in our, and this method is to get just the student roll number for the particular student ID. I think I should have this method in my student, but it's fine, I will move it later on. And then it's a method student issued books. What this method is doing, this method will insert the values in student issued books table. Which values? Student ID, book ID, issuance date, return date, and late fees amount. And late fees amount by default is 0, because when you are issuing the book, at that time it's by default it's 0. It will start incrementing once return date is passed. So yeah, so once the student will issue the book, these records are going to be updated in the table. Which table? Student issued books. And now the next method is book selection method. What in this method, I need book ID. How are we going to get the book ID? We are going to get the book ID by after calling this method. We got the book ID and we student ID. Student ID, like student will have the iCard, or they should remember the student ID, that they can come to the library and they can tell they want to issue this book ID and their student ID is this much. So after that the book can be issued. In that, again, today's date, and I'm formatting it so that it can be uploaded. The return date, that I'm calculating by default at 7 days, that you should return it by 7 days. And then I am assuming that only student is picking up only one book, and then I am updating the book availability status table. And there I am decreasing the quantity by 1, because student have already picked up one book and the quantity will be decreased by 1, and the transaction date is the date, today's date, that they have picked up the book. So that date will be changed to today's date. And then I'm executing it. So that's what's happening here. So let me run this and see book selection method. Okay. Let's go here and wait. First, let me run the book availability status so that we can easily check this. Let's issue this book, the story of my experiment. So let me get its book ID. What I can do, experiments, right? So let me put any keyword from it, experiments, and let me run this. Oops, wait, in my here its book name is my spelling wrong? Experiments, EXPERI. Oh, I think my spelling was wrong. After putting it, we got the book ID. So let me copy it. L dot book selection. Book ID is this. I already have it. And I want to issue it to the student 102 with the student ID 102. Let me go here and see student ID is 102 is here, and student issued books. There is no student ID 102. Okay, let me run it. Here book is picked up successfully, records are inserted in this table, and book issuance is also recorded successfully. Let me go here, let me run the student issued books. Here in the student issued books, I have this student now 102 who have that book. Issuance date is today's, that is 17th, and after 7 days he should return the book, that is on 24th, and by default late fees is 0. Okay, here we issued the books, and let me go to the library books. So this was the story of my books experiment. If anyone noticed, the quantity must be 10 before, and now it's 9 because student have the book here. Yeah, oh sorry, I read the library book. So yeah, it has the 9, so now it's 8 here. And now you can say the transaction date, that is 17th, because I ran it today, 17/6/2024, and the quantity is 8 here, and this book is issued to the student. So that's what those methods are doing. Yeah, so student book selection method is also done. Student also has the book. Now book return date, book return method. So in this method I have student ID, book ID, and by default late fees is equal to 0. So again today's date, formatted today's date, and book selection, and then I am checking the return date from here for those particular student and book, and then I am just fetching the record, because fetch 1, because it's going to be for that particular student and book ID, it will just give me 1. And then I am checking the today's date is greater than return date. So here if today's date is greater than return date, then I am calculating the late fees, and after that I am checking if calculated late fees is greater than 0. So this fees is greater than 0 and the late fees is not equal to this, then late fees is this. If this is not equal to the calculated late fees, then it will not let us update the return, it will not let us return the book, and it will print us the message like late fees, whatever the late fees must be paid before returning the book. And the query, I will upload the query, I will run the query in which updated fees is going to be there in the table. Which table? Student issued books table, for that particular student and ID, and I will return it. And then after that, like if return date, or you can say when you are returning the book, is less than return date, then it will let you return it. It will let you return it, and it will update this table, book availability status table, and it will increase the quantity by 1, because now you return the book, it's back in the system, so that table will be updated with the updated quantity, and transaction date will change to today's date. for that particular book, and then that particular record will move to the book return history record, and there it will have the student ID, book return date, and the late fees amount that you have to pay. And then I am executing it, and then because it's moved there, so that record will be deleted from that particular table, student issued books table. And then that's what happening here. So let me run this and I will show you. It is book returned, l dot book returned. So I already have one student issued books here. I already have one record here that has the late fees amount that is of 90. Student ID is 702, and let me paste it. What does it need? Student ID that is 702, comma, here late fees is by default zeros. Let me try to run it and see. So it just give me the error, late fees of 90 must be paid before returning the book. So once I do the late fees of 90, then I can see, then this record from here will be moved to the book return history table. Okay, first before that let's get the where book underscore ID is equal to this. Let me check here for this particular book ID. So book name is Lolita, transaction date is 1, because that time the book was issued and the quantity available is 3 right now. We will, after returning the book, we will check the quantity and the transaction date in this table, and this table. Okay, so now I have to pay the amount 90 rupees. Let me do 90 here. Let's see here now. Book is returned successfully. Record moved to this table. Student deleted from this table. Okay. So it was 3 and 1st. Let us refresh it. Now it is 4th and book is returned today. So it's 17th 6/2024. Let me run the student issued books table. That record is not here because he currently don't have the book. He have returned the book. So book return history. Yes, book return history is 90 here. Book issuance date is null. I guess I have to check this part. But so that record is here and book issuance date is not updated, but I will check this part, and that's how it comes here. So that's what all these method is doing. Book return history, insert into book return history. Wait, this is which table? Book return history, right? Book issuance ID. Oh, why there is no book issuance ID here? Student ID, book issuance date, book return date. Okay, I don't have that thing. I missed it. But I will make the changes. So that's how those functions are working. But I will show you one more thing before moving ahead. Let me get any of the books, library books. Which book? A Tale of Two Cities. Let's check about the student. Sorry. Let's check for A Tale of Two Cities. Here transaction date is 5. So let me issue this book to a student. What's the get book ID for book selection? A Tale, right? A Tale of Two Cities and the Tale of Christ. So let's get this one. Book ID is this. Let's issue it to the student 102 ID. There is any student with the ID 102? Yes, Michael Schumacher is there. Oh, we already issued to him. Let's issue to 101. Okay, we issued the book to this student. Let me run this here. Here for now it's because we just issued it and he still have time, so late fees amount 0, but let me change it for now so that we can see the late fees amount. So what's happening, what if I this is the student issued book and this is the student ID. I already have them because I want to show you this example. Issuance date is changed, return date is changed. Now let me run the student issued books. Okay, I issued this to same student. Okay, and then which book is the one that we just issued? I guess this one, A Tale of Two Cities, right? A Tale of 08 AEC. Yes, here book issue 1. If I do it here, so now when you see, if I run this table student issued books, here you can see it's issued on 3rd, return on 10th, but today is 17th. But today is 17th, so still there is 0 late fees amount because it's not a pipeline right now, so that's why it's showing the 0 fees amount. But here if I run the method, this one student get all here, in this method I can show you I am doing this thing, like after getting the late fees here, I am updating the table with the late fees amount for those particular student, and here for 0 if there is no late fees amount. So if I call this method to see which student has which book, it will give me the late fees with the updated late fees. It will not just fetch directly from there. First it's calculating here, then it will returning it to me, and after calculating it, it's uploading those updated values in the table also. So here you see it's 00 right now, but now let me run this. It gives me the updated value with $70 also, but now it's still 0, and let me refresh it here. Here it's 70. I think you can see what I'm trying to understand. It's not updating here because it's not a pipeline, so it's not every day, or you can say every hour, updating the records. It has to be the pipeline so that it can update the records. This project was just to showcase like how OOPS and Snowflake can work, and you can have a good decent kind of understanding of database design, OOPS, and how different method works, and how you can relate one class to another. So yeah, I guess this was it. And if I feel like I can have more methods, and if I can update it and I can create a pipeline, then I will definitely create the next part of it. But for now I think this is it. I guess I showed most of it, or you can say everything. But if something is missing and I feel like I have to share it, I will definitely going to share it. But yeah, hope these videos were helpful. You understand something new and you are going to create something on your own. But yeah, have a wonderful day. Keep learning. I will see everyone in the next video. Bye.